Yoga teachers, are you struggling to sequence a vinyasa flow class? In this video, we'll sequence together a vinyasa flow class so you'll know exactly how I do it. By the end of this video, you will have a sequence that you can teach in your next class. If you haven't already, hit that subscription button and the notification bell to be notified every single time I share a new video sharing yoga teaching tips. Here's exactly how I sequence a vinyasa flow class, and for the purposes of this video, this vinyasa flow class will be a more experienced and intermediate class. So this class is meant for students who feel confident with the yoga basics and want to be physically and mentally challenged. If you're looking for how to sequence a mixed level class or an all levels class, I recommend that you go back and watch my how to sequence an all levels yoga class video, where I literally teach you exactly how to do that. But this class is going to be for the more experienced yogis. So just so you have a little context of what we're going to be doing. So the first thing I like to do is I always like to start with a peak pose. So what peak poses would be appropriate for a vinyasa flow class? This could be something like half moon, standing split, maybe baby grasshopper, potentially even pistol squat. Those are the ones that are coming to me off the top of my head. I think it would be cool to do half moon since I sequenced the all level class also using half moon, but I want to show you how you can use the same peak pose but make it more advanced based on the progressions that you choose to teach. So let's go with half moon. So the next thing I like to do is write out the 3 key muscles. So what 3 key muscles do you need in order to accomplish half moon pose? Well, definitely your hips. Your hips have to stack. Definitely your core, and definitely your leg. So those will be our 3 key muscles. So what I like to do next is do a brain dump. So I use my yoga sequencing BFF list because that is how I categorize all of the yoga poses by body parts. I go to that list and I dump everything there that works, the hips, core, and legs. And that is going to literally be my guide to know exactly what to put in class in order to prepare my students for this peak pose. So let's go to the master list and let's go hips, brain dump. Here's all my hip ones. Let's do the core. And then let's do the legs, so the hamstrings. Those two. Okay, now that we have our list of poses of exactly what to put in class in order to work up to our peak pose, the first thing that we do is we sequence the warm-up. So what goes in the warm-up? The warm-up is where you move the spine in the 6 directions while also stretching or strengthening a key muscle needed for your peak pose. So the 6 directions of the spine are flexion and extension, twisting in both directions, and then side bending in both directions. So I like to go through and highlight the poses that I think are appropriate for a warm-up. So we have we have butterfly, reclined pigeon, seated figure 4, deer for this could be appropriate. We have reclined hamstring stretch, seated tree. So those are our potential poses. So I like to kind of write them all out. So we have butterfly, seated figure 4, deer, reclined figure 4, reclined hamstring stretch, reclined figure 4, recline, hamstring, stretch, and seated tree. So here are our potential poses that we could do a warm-up in. I'm thinking it might be fun to start this flow on our back since we started the one from the all level sequence seated. So on our backs, then we have our recline figure 4 and our hamstring stretch. So let's see how we can move the spine in the 6 directions and put a little flow together. So starting on the back, we have our reclined figure 4. Maybe I think I would probably start with gentle bridges. This also works the flexion and extension movement. We could go into our, I think I want to do reclined figure 4 first. Ooh. Okay, we've got lots of options. My head is just seeing all the fun transitions, but let's see how we can move the spine in the 6 directions. We have our reclined figure 4. So in reclined figure 4, we could go like this. We could twist in our figure 4. We could twist in both directions. This would work the twisting of the spine. For side bending, we could reach the arms above the head and just side bend in one direction, or we could lift and tap. Maybe we'll do this because we also want to work the core. So say we were doing a reclined figure 4 twist. We could come right up to a fun seated position, do our half Lord of the Fishes, and then maybe come into a seated pose here. That could flow pretty smoothly into like a seated butterfly, or even better, a seated figure 4. Ooh, I'm getting all of the ideas. Okay, then from seated figure 4, we could turn this way into a deer pose and then come right back down to our backs. Okay, I love that. That's our flow. So let's put it together. So we'll start in Shavasana, and then we'll move into just gentle bridges for that flexion and extension of the spine. Then we'll move into our reclined hamstring stretch, and then our reclined figure 4. Then let's do our taps. Then we can draw the leg in, and then in our twist here. Then we can come right up. This is a transition pose, our half Lord of the Fishes. What did I say next? Into seated figure 4, into deer. We could twist and fold, and then right back down to a reclined twist. And then repeat that whole thing on the second side. Ooh, that's so good. I'm totally using that. Okay, let's write it down. So, what did I do? Okay. Bridge with breath. Recline, hamstring, stretch. Recline, figure 4 taps. Recline, figure 4. Recline, figure 4 twist. Half Lord of the Fishes, seated figure 4, deer, twist, deer fold, reclined, twist, repeat, second side. Ooh, that is so good. I love that. We incorporated a fun transition to go from on the back to seated. So now we're going to move on to our sequence 1. And I'm just thinking if we want to do, since we're on the back, if we want to do any core on our back before we get to sequence 1, I think we should, since we have core as one of the things. So we could do like leg lifts. We could do like a low boat pose to high boat pose. Any of those options would be good. It just will depend on where we're going to go for sequence 1. So let's hold that thought and come back to it. But I'm going to put in core work on back so we don't forget. But I don't want to decide until I know where we're going to go for sequence 1. So in sequence 1, I like to go back and highlight any like low lunge or standing poses that I have on the list. And we'll use that as our thing. So we got lizard, yogi squat, half yogi squat, low lunge, high lunge. We've got like all of our knee to noses here. That would also work. We've got our plank, side plank, forearm plank, half split, pyramid. Okay, so let's write those out. We got a lot of options here. So we have lizard, high lunge, low lunge, half split, yogi squat, half yogi squat, pyramid, knee to nose and downward dog and plank. And then plank, forearm plank, plank, forearm plank. So probably what would be good to do before we get into sequence 1 is think about what variations of half moon we want to do. So let's do that now. So in half moon, there's so many creative variations that we can do. One that I've been really into lately is this like tapping of the leg like this. Other options are cactusing our arms, cactus twisting and coming back. That's also really challenging. Yeah, let's do this like toe tap. And you can even try and do the toe tap with no hands if you need even more of a balance. So, because we want to then tie this thread of toe tapping throughout our class too. So, I'm going to put that in here, toe tap. Somehow incorporate some type of toe tap to prepare us for that. So, here are our poses. Lizard, high lunge, low lunge, half split, yogi squat, pyramid, knee to nose, down dog, and plank. So, we could start this in a yogi squat and step back to do some of these things, which would be fun. I like that a lot, and that gets in that yogi squat as well. So then for the core work on our back, we need to get to a yogi squat. So we're on our backs. Maybe we'll do low boat, high boat, low boat. Maybe we could do some leg flutters. Come back up to our high boat, take the feet wide, and then just come right up to a yogi squat like this. So that would work perfect. So bold, low boat, high boat, low boat, flutter kicks, high boat, just to seat it on the mat, and then to yogi squat. So now we're in our yogi squat. So from yogi squat, we need to go to lizard, high lunge, low lunge. Okay, so from yogi squat, we also could go to half yogi squat like this, but that's really hard, so I can do that yet. Okay, yogi squat, we can step it right back into lizard, which would be good. We could do like a lizard half split variation here. I like this flow. I'm just looking at the poses. We could come into I really do like the transition when you lower to your forearms here and then step back to plank, forearm plank. Then we could even do side forearm plank. And then maybe we step it back forward into half yogi squat. So I kind of like that. So let me remember what I did. So we're in our yogi squat, step it back to lizard with the knee down. We can flow between lizard and this like funky variation of half split, then go to lizard on the forearms to forearm plank, to side forearm plank, and then all the way into half yogi squat. That's really fun and challenging. So let's rock that out. Yogi squat, lizard to half split, lizard to flow between the two, lizard on forearms, forearm plank, side forearm plank into half yogi squat. We do need to do some type of toe tapping in there as well. And we need to get back to yogi squat or to down dog. So let's see, we're in our half yogi squat. Could be fun to move to the back of the mat. We could simply just go back into lizard on the second side and then back to yogi squat facing this way and repeat the same thing, the whole flow again on the second side, and it'll take us back to the front of the mat. Or we could go half yogi squat, turn forward, just come into a pyramid pose. We could bring that right back into down dog, and here in our down dog, We can do kind of this like toe tapping motion. We're not going to actually tap, but just practice taking the leg to the side. Kind of like that. So let's do that so we can add the toe tapping motion. Pyramid, downward dog, my hair. Downward dog with, I'm going to call it toe tap, but we're not actually tapping the toes. You saw what we're doing. And then we can jump from downward. Well, the first time we'll step. We'll go to yogi squat. We'll step it the first time, and the next time around we can jump. And then we'll just repeat this on the second side. So that is our sequence 1. And we incorporated a lot of the things. I guess when we're in our downward dog, we can do like knee to nose and then toe taps as well. So we can add that in. Knee to nose, and then downward dog toe taps, and then back to yogi squat. Perfect. I love that. I'm going to just keep that. Then I like to move into sun salutation A's. And sometimes I like to do creative variations. Since we're kind of using this yogi squat to down dog thing, it would be really fun if we hop in our sun salutations between downward facing dog and yogi squat, and maybe we do that like a couple times. So maybe it'll look like this. And we're just hopping between yogi squat, down dog, yogi squat, down dog. So maybe we'll do that 3 times. So like the first sun salutation, we could hop between yogi squat and down dog. The first sun salutation, we could hop between yogi squat and down dog. And another fun thing we could do in yogi squat is just kind of do these, I don't know what I call them, kind of like angel things. So we can add that in. So I'll type that out. Mountain pose. Mountain pose, arms reach up, forward fold, half lift, plank, chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog to yogi squat, maybe 3 times, then yogi squat, snow angels I'll call them, and then to mountain pose. So that could be our fun sun salutation A variation. That's creative and preparing us for where we're going. Now moving on to sequence 2. So in sequence 2, we want to have our half moon with the toe taps. So I'm thinking if we could add in the toe taps anywhere else. We actually could add them in to a different variation of the sun salutation. We could do like side plank and then toe tap here in side plank. So we definitely should add this in. Also could do it with the knee down. So let's add that variation of sun salutation A2. So it'd be mountain pose, arms reach up, forward fold, half lift, plank, side plank, toe taps, plank, second side plank, second side plank, toe taps, plank, chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog, forward fold, half lift, forward fold, arms reach up, mountain pose. So I'll just show it to you all together. It would look like this. Maybe you toe tap 3 times, then back to center, other side. Back to mountain. So we do have 3 sun salutations. You could do the first one with the yogi squat variation, the second one with the side plank variation, and maybe the third one's just a regular old sun salutation, or you can repeat one of those 2. So I do like to do sun salutation 3 times in a vinyasa flow class. So your choice, with whatever combination of how you want to do it. Now moving on to sequence 2, since we're keeping that thread of toe tapping in there, we have so many options. So let's go back through some of those standing poses we could potentially put. So we could do yogi squat, half yogi squat, pyramid. We need to put in half moon with toe taps. And then any other standing poses. I generally don't put the standing poses on my master list or my yoga sequencing BFF list. So that's why they're not showing up here, because the standing poses are very complex. So I just kind of pick whatever standing poses I want to do. So let's see. We could continue this thread of coming in from yogi squat. Let's do that. So there's a different really fun transition. Ooh, could we get really fancy? I don't know. Okay. We've already went back to low lunge. We could go back to extended side angle. We also could come right into half yogi squat, but then what would we do from here would be the question, because we need to orient ourselves in some way. Where are we going? Pyramid or any other poses? I mean, we could do half yogi squat. No, let's just go into extended side angle. Okay. Half yogi squat. We can come into extended side angle. From here, we got so many options. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking. Okay. Extended side angle. Maybe we come into our warrior 2. We could reverse our triangle here. Come into our half yogi squat. Into our lizard. Back to our forearm lizard. Back to our forearm plank. Back to our side forearm plank. And from here, come into half moon with toe taps. So I really like that because we added on and built on our last sequence 1. So let's see. We did yogi squat into extended side angle, into warrior 2, into reverse triangle, into half yogi squat, into lizard, then forearm plank, then side forearm plank, into half moon with toe taps. So that's where our sequence ended. We need to get back to yogi squat. So what ways can we get there? So some options. We ended in half moon. So we could go into yogi squat here, turn towards the back of the mat. We need a transition pose. That could just simply be like a low lunge twist, and then come into our yogi squat facing the back of the mat, and then repeat it on the second side. That is pretty challenging. So it depends on the level of your experienced students. Or if we're in our half moon facing forward, we could just forward fold and come back into our yogi squat. So 2 options. I'll write the more challenging one, but you do have an option if you don't want to do that. To yogi squat sideways on the mat, to our twisted low lunge, to our yogi squat back of the mat, repeat second side. I really like this because it's really tying all these different threads throughout our class, right? That first flow also ended facing the back of the mat, right? I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. No, it didn't. Okay, I'm liking this because we're tying so many different threads throughout the class. We're taking this transition of stepping back from yogi squat. The first time we did it in lizard, now we're doing it in extended side angle. We're carrying that thread of like forearm plank, side forearm plank, and now we're adding on the funky transition to half moon. So it's like really tying all these really fun threads throughout class. So that's sequence 2. Now let's move on to our cool down. So I like to go through and highlight all of the potential cool down poses, and then we do a little puzzle and see how we can fit them together. So butterfly pigeon, recline pigeon, double pigeon, seated figure 4. We've got deer. Might be good to return back to deer. We got cow face, happy baby, frog. Archer's pose is appropriate in this class as well. Recline hamstring stretch, seated tree. Okay, so we got a lot here. I'm gonna retype them. butterfly, pigeon, seated, fig 4, reclined, fig 4, double pigeon, deer, happy baby, cow face, frog, happy baby, cow face, frog, archer's pose, recline, hamstring, stretch, seated tree, recline, hamstring, stretch, seated tree. So the idea here is just to pick some of these poses and see how we can put it together. I definitely like the idea of going back to deer since we started class in deer pose. I think it would be good to return back to that. And it could be fun to do archer's pose. That's challenging, but it could be fun. This is a more advanced class. So we're ending in yogi squat. So we need to, we could do yogi squat. Just sit down. We could go into archer's pose, then deer. So we could first hip cradle. This could be option 1. This could be option 2. And then archer pose, option 3. That actually kind of flows perfectly into like a seated tree and then a deer. And then maybe like a different variation of deer we could do is like lifting the back leg. And then we could just flow into the other side. So I really like that. Let's do that. So we've got yogi squat to, what did I do? I just sit down on the mat. Then we did archer's pose progression. So we did cradle leg into hold outside of the foot, and then hold outside of the foot and grab toe into seated tree, into deer with lift back leg, into deer twist, and then deer fold, and then repeat second side. So that will be perfect. We're doing forward folds. We do need some back bends. And yeah. Okay, yogi squat, sit, archer's pose, cradle. I'm thinking about how we can do some back bends. So from there, we can just roll on down to the back. To do some back bends, it really depends on how many tricky transitions you want to put in a class. But did we do a hamstring stretch? I can't remember. The beginning of class. Yeah, we did. So we could go back to our hamstring stretch. And there's actually a really fun transition from here. Let me do it with this leg because of my space. We could do our hamstring stretch in all 3 ways. So towards the body, to the side, across the body, and then flip right onto our belly and do some belly work here. So we could do half a frog sphinx. We could do rolling cobra. We could do locust. We could do bow. And then we actually could end in half frog and then roll right back down to our back. So that could be fun to do some belly work. Roll onto back. Recline hamstring stretch. And then we're rolling over to sphinx with leg extended to the side. Then let's do locust. Option to do bow pose, then sphinx half frog, then sphinx half frog twist, and then we're back on our backs. Repeat second side. That was fun. I'm definitely using that. Okay, and then maybe we'll end just with a supported bridge and legs up the wall. Beautiful. And there's our vinyasa flow class, remembering that this is a more intermediate and experienced class. And it all depends on who's in your class and who you're teaching to. Some of these transitions might have been really tricky for the students in your experienced class, but this is just an example of how I like to sequence a class. And you can see how easy it becomes when you brain dump the poses, and then you use that as a guide of exactly what to put in class. And then it's just how you put them together and the transitions that you use. So yeah, now you can go out there and teach this class. Let me know if you have any questions about how to sequence a vinyasa flow class. Let me know if you're going to use this class and how it goes if you do teach this class. That's exactly how I sequence a vinyasa flow yoga class. Now you have a sequence you can go out there and teach to your yoga students. Let me know if you have any questions at all about how to sequence a vinyasa flow class, and let me know if you actually teach this sequence and how it goes. If you want more done for you vinyasa flow class plans, I do sell 12 different class plans. They're done for you class plans that not only include the sequences, but they also include themes, intentions, and a playlist that you can play. So I would recommend for you, if you're a vinyasa flow teacher, my vinyasa flow with arm balances class plans. Inside of my journey through the chakras, my mandala flow, and my playing with props class plans, there are vinyasa flow options. So I would definitely recommend you checking out those if you want support in making teaching yoga super easy and just support in keeping your classes fresh and interesting.